Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. I'm your host, Dan Jones, and joined as always by a man who at one stage was touted he could have been Australia's greatest ever cyclist, but his former sponsor at the Gianni Savo said he needed another head. Didn't quite apply himself, but of course he's controversial. Still won 4 national titles, and the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, who's still recovering from the Olympics and getting his time zone back on track. Start with you, Phil. Happy birthday for the other day, mate. One thing I don't miss.
Thank you very much. I've been very old for the last 24 hours, but it's going well.
What'd you do to celebrate?
I sat in the pub alone having a pint.
Oh, that's sad.
Simply because we went out for dinner on the eve of my birthday with Trish, because I didn't want to do this. It's a big day Wednesday for Trish when she's dancing. She has a 2-hour session down. So I wasn't going to spoil that just because it was my birthday. So it all worked out well. You get that way when you're married 50 years, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I know you know.
What do you buy the man who would probably have everything? Is it just
Trish buys
breakfast
me
in bed
every year? Nothing. We don't buy each other Christmas presents. We don't buy each other. What can I buy her? I'm spending money on her every day of my life when I go out with her, because she always sees something she wants. So what's the point of it? In fact, it's a good exception not to buy anything on the birthday, because that's the only day of the year I don't buy her something. And it's my birthday anyway.
So no presents. You drank alone at the pub by yourself. Sounds like an absolute cracker.
What
mate.
I would say is I've had an enormous amount of happy birthday wishes from people in Australia, for which I feel very thankful and very grateful, because I've got some great friends in Australia. I don't call them fans; they are friends.
That's great, mate. And you are very good with the fans, and they would feel like friends because they are your friend, Phil. That's fantastic.
Well, I must say I enjoyed immensely doing the Olympics with Channel 7. Because of the cost of the studio in London, we couldn't do it every day, but I did 6 days, I think it was. I enjoyed it immensely, yeah. I'd just like to be a bit more from the Aussie team, and they've really got a bit of sorting out to do, and they've got 3 years to do it.
Well, we interviewed Scott McGrory that we'll show at the end of the show, and we do talk about where Australian track cycling in particular is at, and we talk about a few of the rider transfers and so forth. But obviously, lads, the Tour of Spain is coming up on Saturday, and it feels like when you wedge the Olympics in after the Tour de France, normally you get that breather, whereas I thought the Tour of Spain started next weekend. I'm like, oh, geez. Straight into it. Doesn't feel like we've had a rest, Iffy.
No. Think about it.
I'm in the middle of writing my first story for the Geelong Addy, which I have to have finished by the morning because for Saturday's paper. So I knew all about it. But the Vuelta A España is, as it's known by all, it starts on Saturday, and it's always a fantastic bike race. It's probably been thought of as the third of the Grand Tours, Tour de France being the biggest, of course, and then the Giro, and then the Vuelta. But in the last couple of years, it's moved right up, and I reckon it's line ball between the Giro and the Vuelta as the prestige. But, a fantastic race.
Did you cover many Tour of Spains, obviously, Phil, back in the day? And what did you find the Tour of Spain? No.
Well, first of all, I've never been live to the Tour of Spain or the Giro. But I've done the full-length race over 3 weeks from remote places. Most of them I voiced from New York with Paul Sherwin. For my money, as a bike race, the Vuelta is arguably the best of the three of them. The Tour is the granddad of them all. It gets all the publicity, and it's umped itself to appeal to the public. It's got all the romance, the image, etc. But for an actual bike race, and it's loved by the Spanish, is the Tour of Spain. I remember many years ago when Robert Miller looked like he was going to win the Tour of Spain.
He was robbed.
He was robbed, exactly, John, because the whole of the Spanish regime of cyclists in the event ganged up against him to make sure he lost, because they wanted a Spanish winner. In fairness, that's how patriotic they are, if you like. But now it's a fabulous race. And as you'll see, they've changed the rules. There's a Tour de France influence now because they're involved in the ownership of the Tour of Spain. And they brought on their rules into this year's Tour of Spain with the midway sprint for 20 points for the green jersey. They want to make it more attractive to the sprinters because they're getting climbers winning the sprints competition, which does seem a little bit wrong, I think. So we're going to see an even more exciting race. I'm sure of that. It'll be a great race.
They used to call it, or they still do, the Tour de France with a hangover. But I think it is becoming a little bit different now because it is a different era of cycling, Iffy. And you look at the start line. I mean, this is going to be absolutely fascinating, particularly at the GC end.
Well, it used to be the first Grand Tour of the year. It used to be before the Giro, back in the day, in the old days. And I can't remember when that changed, in the 80s, I think, late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
Maybe more recent than that, John. I must check that
maybe
out.
The 90s.
Yeah, I think so. I think the 90s.
But back in my days, it was always the first. But look, 8 flat stages. There are 4 what they call hilly stages, so that, breakaways, and 7 mountain stages. I think 6 of the 7 have got mountaintop finishes, and 2 individual time trials. So it is, it's a real test. I think it'll be a really good race for the sprinters jersey between Michael Matthews and Arnaud Demar. I think they're the 2 standouts for the sprint. But gee. What battle for the GC? It is looking really, really top heavy there. Got Roglic coming back for number 3. Showed with his wonderful time trial win at the Olympics that his form is good. Then you've got Ineos, who tried the four-man 4 leaders trick at the Tour. It didn't work. Now they've got 5 leaders for this one. I don't know how that's going to go. You've got Bernal, Carapaz, Yates, Sivakov, and young Pidcock, who I am really looking forward to watching. Yeah,
I think we all are. This guy is limitless. He doesn't even know what he wants to be yet in the world of cycling. He's just trying everything to see how it goes. I mean, his mountain bike Olympic gold medal was absolutely wonderful. And this is a guy who doesn't know his limitations yet, and neither do the people who employ him. They're just expecting big things. So we'll see how it goes. And Van der Poel, he's not in this race, but he's in a similar situation in his progress.
Well, surely they're going to have Bernal as the sole focus based on how dominant he was at the Giro, and the rest will just be thereabouts until it's a clear distinction between his time and the rest.
I think that's how.
Carapaz. What about Carapaz?
He's won the gold. He'll just be like, mate, whatever you want me to do. Doesn't matter.
And that was a great win too. I mean, 6 hours, 10 minutes of racing and pedal away by yourself. Yeah. That was a real gold medalist for you. But look, the Ineos play the game. If you ask them straight, they'll tell you the same answer. We'll wait and see. They've got the leaders. It all went pear-shaped for them because of problems and crashes in the Tour de France. If they're riding crash-free, and funnily enough, the crashes in the world, I should never say this, don't seem so bad or as many as we get in the Tour de France. But if they go in with all their team leaders, they'll wait and see. And whoever's in the best position when they feel it's time to start making an impression, they'll use that man. And the others will become super domestiques. So they all know that they've got the chance to win. It's how well they position themselves. Maybe Roglic will lead from start to finish because it's a time trial to start. But I think it might be a bit short for him, but you never know. He could.
Well, it's an interesting time trial. It's only 7.7K, the prologue, but it's 2 and a bit K uphill and then 5K downhill. So very interesting, actually. But,
we're starting in the Burgos region. Is that right, John?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because they're celebrating, I think I might be wrong. I think it's 800 years of the local cathedral there. That's why we've gone to the start in Burgos.
Got an answer for you from Matt Winsey. Said the Vuelta changed from April to September at the start of 1995.
Oh well, thanks, Matt. At least we got the right decade. And I'll tell you what, they didn't want to change at the time, but it was the UCI revamp to try and streamline the calendar. They got bumped to just before the World Championships, and they thought, hey, who's going to ride the Vuelta when the World Championships is going to be a week or so afterwards? But the reverse happened, of course. They actually started to ride the Vuelta to get legs for the World Championship. So it's a very successful slot. It's very successful, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, stacked team if he is Bahrain, and you've got the Sheriff, obviously a big influence there, and that is stacked. The sheriff obviously being Aussie Neil Stevens, who absolutely loves this race. And, talk about rock stars. We know Philly's in places like America, but geez, the sheriff, I got to ride with him on many Tour of Spains, and he's as popular as the riders and does as many autographs. But he studies the course 3 months out. And one year that really blew me away was when he'd researched where the buses were going to be parked at one of the time trials when Esteban was on GC. And he'd already preempt, all right, we're going to have rollers at the start, and he's going to have to do his warm-up there because there's not enough time to get from the buses to the start ramp. And there was a real sharp kicker at the start. Made a difference about 45 seconds on the time. And these are little minute details that are good DS. And we've talked about the influence of guys like Alan Piper, on the strategy for Pogacar. They all come into play. And Landa, as we know, at the start of the Giro was so confident. When we were in some of those interviews, he was really confident that he was going to win it. And then you've got the likes of, Pandon, Caruso, Pools, Aussie Jack Haig's going to be in there. They are stacked, Iffy.
Yeah. They're the three strongest teams for sure. Bike Exchange has got 5 Aussies, which is great to see. So there's 9 Aussies lining up in the Vuelta.
No, there's not. There's 11. Wendy May Abbott says.
I just looked through it. I can only count 9. I must have missed someone. But you've got 5 Aussies: Michael Matthews, Lucas Hamilton, Damien Howson, Nick Schultz, and Rob Stannard. They're the 5 Aussies in Bike Exchange.
Earlier, of course, Caleb was there, but obviously he's out. He's out.
Yeah,
he's not right.
Jack Haig with Bahrain, Chris Hamilton and Michael Storer with DSM, and Seb Berwick having his first Grand Tour for Israel.
And what's the background on Seb? I haven't heard of Seb before, Johnny. And, the old man will hold you to account if you don't have the research.
Oh, yeah.
Seb ran second to Jai Hindley in the Sun Tour, but 3 or 4 years ago when it finished, that stage finished up Mount Buller, and he was really aggressive. Great young kid. He is the godson of Jeff Leslie. So there was that famous story when Jeff left us on the detour to go and pick Seb up and take him to somewhere up in Nantes. I think he joined an amateur team there. And that's when Jeff got his bag blown up at the airport for leaving it at the airport, which turned out to be a furphy because he thought he'd left it at the airport. It was someone else's bag. It's a long story. We won't go into it. But yes, I know a great young kid. He raced all this year with Israel, and this is his first Grand Tour.
That's a huge
21, just a youngster. Yeah.
Fabulous. Maybe the next name. Yeah.
Well, remember we were talking about, we had Will Walker on the show, about the dangers of running these young kids in Grand Tours. Too young, 22. Now they're winning them at 21, 20.
It's how they do it. But it's what they did to those young guys. Now they realise that they're young and they bring them in fresh and they let them have a break and all those things. But they were just spitting them in out before. That's the whole problem. That's what they were doing. Yeah. Rabobank were miles too hard on Will. He was only 20 and not ready for it to do two in a row,
Here's the list from Wendy Superfan: Jay Vine, Jack Haig, Dylan Sunderland, Seb Berwick, Lucas Hamilton, Damien Howson, Bling, Nick Schultz, Rob Stannard, Chris Hamilton, and Michael Storer. Who'd you leave out of that?
Oh, I didn't have Jay Vine in there. So there you go.
Good on you, Wendy Superfan. Thanks for catching us out. Now, Iffy, we've got Katie Brown.
Replace Wendy with Iffy.
That's right. At least she does the proper research. Now, Katie Brown is back, fellas, because we've got an announcement with the Amy Gillett Foundation. Welcome again to the Detour, Katie, and exciting times ahead for the AGF.
It's amazing times. We're super excited about this announcement, which is kind of went out already, so it's a spoiler alert. But we have partnered with you guys.
Hey! We're on board with the Detour.
Love it.
It's so amazing.
As you've seen, all we do on this show is fantastic research. We're on top of all the stats, all the rider profiles, and that will continue for sure.
Awesome.
Now, one thing,
Katie, don't just laugh at me.
Now, it's good that we got Phil here because you've got a new video that we can give people a look at, which is a new campaign. So why don't we have a look at this clip? Phil's very, very happy with the voiceover. So let's take a look and get your thoughts afterwards.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for zero cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Fantastic. That's the first time I've had a look at that. You must be pretty happy with the final product.
I'm stoked with it. Yeah, we're really happy with how it turned out. I mean, obviously Phil's got an amazing voice to do an amazing voiceover. So it helps having such talent. But I mean, this is a really important campaign because obviously we do have 20 cyclists being hit by cars each day, or 20 bike riders, and they're being hospitalised, and we have 1 death every 10 days. So the stats are really big. And so to get this campaign out on the market and actually tell people, like, just let's be calm, courteous, conscientious, just everyone look out for each other. It's such an important message.
Well, I can tell you over the weekend, it was a few days ago when I voiced that, but over the weekend it was a black day in South African cycling because a vehicle overtook on a blind summit of a climb near Durban on a double white line to pass the vehicle, and he wiped out 10 cyclists who were climbing the hill from the other side of the rise. 1 was killed and others maimed. And it only takes a moment to think before you do it. The guy should be in jail for forever, as far as I'm concerned, because he overtook on a blind summit, on a double white line where he should have been anyway. And I know in Britain it carries a very serious long-term prison sentence for that. But it just brings us. Just all I say is think. Nobody sets out any day of the week behind the wheel to kill someone, but if you don't think, it can happen. So please think.
Spot on, Phil. Yeah. And look, I've noticed one of the things I have noticed, I've been guilty of it myself, but I don't do it anymore, is the people on their mobile phone, especially texting. It just takes your, every time I've done it, I think, oh, gee, you find yourself veering across the road. You can't do it. And I reckon that's one of the main reasons for the increase in accidents over the last couple of years.
And the fact is, you won't live with yourself, despite the penalties or getting caught. It's almost immaterial to the fact that you will never live with yourself if you kill someone and know it was your fault. You just won't live with yourself.
Yep, agree.
Definitely. And how are entries going? How are entries going for Amy's Grand Fondo going?
It's always amazing, Dan. It's always amazing. We're having the uptake is great. Fingers crossed that we're sort of COVID goes away and everything is a-okay, but it's looking that way. But yeah, we're super excited. I can't wait to get to Lorne because I haven't been to Lorne for so long. And I mean, it's such a beautiful part of the town, part of Melbourne. So,
yeah. Now, if you're going to get the Lycra on with your dad's army from Geelong and get amongst it?
Well, I've always been a part of Amy's Grand Fondo, or the Amy Gillett Great Ocean Road Grand Fondo, I think is the complete term. And I used to be race director of the bike race, and then they brought a women's race in. I was race director of the women's race, which was always a part of it. That hasn't happened the last year or so, but hopefully that comes back at some stage. But if you're going to put the pressure on, I'll tell you what, I'll do it if you do it, Dan.
I'll do it. No, I'll do it. I'll get the Lycra on. Jeez, if that doesn't
Good man.
turn some heads, look
Nice
out.
job.
Well, I've ridden the Great Ocean Road event for Amy, and it's just a fantastic atmosphere. As we were going out towards Port Arlington on the bottom road before we swung inland to Torquay, etc., up alongside me came this cyclist and started talking. He goes, "Hello." I said, "Hello, Cadell." And Cadell Evans had just decided to go for a ride in the peloton. He pedalled up to me. He's not a big conversationalist, Cadell, and in those days he was very, very, very famous. And so he came up to me and said, "How are you going?" He said, "I understand you're coming for dinner tonight at my house." I said, "Am I?" He said, "It's the first I've heard of it." "Oh," he said, "somebody said you were coming round." He said, "We haven't got the crazy paving done just yet in the back garden, so we may have to barbie in a different place." I had no idea what he was talking about. I'd never been invited to Cadell's house. I didn't even know where he lived, apart from Barwon Heads. Anyway, then he said, "I'm training at the moment, so I must go." And he just rode away from me. So that was the end of the conversation. And I didn't go to dinner, but that was all part of the family of the Amy Gillett ride. And
well, that was the original one that was part of the Bakerits. That's how.
Yes, it was. That's right. You got me out of bed early to go down and ride.
Exactly. And now, of course, it's further down. Starts in Lawn and goes right, and there's a wonderful circuit right round. Climbs up what they call Ben Warren, down to Dean's Marsh, around the back over through Forest, down the other side, virtually right next to Apollo Bay. And then
Fabulous.
back down the Great Ocean Road for about 25 kilometres right along the Great Ocean Road. Finishes in Lawn. Absolutely beautiful.
There's a race, there's a ride for everybody. That's what you need to remember. It doesn't have to. There is the UCI element of qualifying for the Grand Fondo UCI version, but there's also just the longer version, and then you've got like the gravel ride as well. So there's something for everyone.
Wow.
You don't have to be professional. You can just be like a weekend warrior. Like
John
I was,
Like
I was considering riding, but then I thought, oh dear. Too many hills for me.
Well, the only thing that concerns me is I've got a bike. Peter Weaning left his old Scott training bike. It's just around the corner at my parents' place. And the problem is it's got that rock hard seat. And if you haven't been on a bike for a while, I mean, that is just going to rule me out from walking for a week. So I'm going to have to maybe look at getting one of those lamb's wool sort of seat covers or some sort of gel mix there.
Go and get one of those, like the cruiser seats. There you go, and just pop that on there.
I will.
Be able to just cruise around.
Comfort first. I don't care about looks. That's for damn sure. But,
so,
how
fit, Katie, how fit are you these days?
Just straight down the barrel, Johnny.
Just asking. A couple of times a week, or do you? What do you do?
Rephrase it, John. Katie, do you still enjoy riding the bike?
I ride.
You ask your questions, Dan. I'll ask mine. Right?
All right, I'll go with Dan's question first. I ride casually. I ride with my children. We mountain bike, and we go into the trails and do that. I ride on obviously the kicker, which I can do virtually, which is fun. I do that maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but I do run and I snowboard. Well, I don't snowboard, but our family snowboards and skis quite a lot. But a lot of my riding is sort of with the kids and trying to, get them out and about and get fit and healthy. And my husband rides a lot. He rides like mountain bikes, and goes and breaks wrists and does crazy stuff. But weirdo.
So the answer is that not very fit.
Oh, come on!
Jeez,
it's the most.
You really start me questioning some things at this moment. You've come on to launch a partnership and you've just been absolutely barreled by John. That's a great start to an ongoing relationship for you, Iffy. Well done, mate.
I'm not very fit.
No, it's all right. Yeah. It's all right. I don't mind. Technically, yes, in a roundabout version, no, I'm not very fit.
But what I was leading to was that I'll ride Amy's Grand Fondo with you. I just want to test out just how fit you were before I.
Shrewd. Clever
Oh,
question.
listen, I've got a job to do while I'm there. I've got to look after the stakeholders. So
Okay. Oh, okay.
But they'll be riding alongside you. What's the problem?
stop it.
Is there going to be a virtual element to the Grand Fondo, so that people that obviously with COVID, that want to get involved, is there going to be announcements further down to potentially have a virtual element?
Listen, we haven't really looked at the virtual side this year. Last year we did a virtual Grand Fondo, but for this year we're really, and I emphasise the really, hoping that we get out there, because there's nothing better than actually being out on the road on closed roads, enjoying a good old Saturday, Sunday ride in lawn. I mean, virtually you can't simulate the picturesque and the nature that's there. You can't simulate the sort of ambience either. So, I mean,
I hope you've warned the coffee shops in Lawn, because they're going to be buried.
Yeah, they know that we're coming. Everyone knows we're coming.
It's a wonderful atmosphere. I mean, the coffee shops are all packed, and all the little clothes shops are open as well, and all the knickknacks. People sit out their wares out in the street as well. It's fantastic.
Fabulous, lovely.
Yeah. We've done something new this year.
You're making me homesick, Tom. I'm banned from Australia. You're making me homesick. I mean, they've locked down a wonderful event overnight because of one case of COVID. But we had 29,000 yesterday, and we're going fine.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, but your Prime Minister did not say at the very beginning, it's not a race. Don't worry about getting vaccinated. We're paying the price for Scotty from marketing. So we'll get there. But anyway, we're going down a tangent.
The other wonderful event they have at the Amy's Grand Fondo is the hill climb, the evening sprint up the short little hill there.
Up the wall?
The wall, yes.
That is steep. That's got to be 20%. Yeah. 15-20%. It's a horrible hill.
We used to have a Bay Crits around there. Remember that, Phil?
Yes, I do. You made them go up every 2 minutes. They went up it.
Yeah, up there, down the other side, and Pat Yonker just about lapped the field around there.
That's right. Yes, I was there. Yeah, I was probably commentating. I just can't.
Is that at Ocean Grove? Or is that in Lawn? Where's that wall?
Lawn.
No, that was in Lawn.
That's in Lawn. Yeah.
Right next to the pub. So the main. You got the hotel, and then the big. The two
John wouldn't have promoted the race there if it hadn't been next to the
because I was going to ask.
Road in between.
That wasn't the stage where you split your jeans at the Bay Crits. That wasn't Lawn. That was Ocean Grove.
That was Ocean Grove. Yeah,
that's on most stages anyway. Yeah.
The famous story where Iffy split his jeans at the Bay Crits and then promoted the local jean shop because they threw him a safety prayer at the 11th hour.
The stage finished. The stage was set up right in front of the jeans shop, so I split my jeans completely. So I raced in. He gave me another pair, and I gave him free ads on the thing, and I didn't have to pay for the jeans. So
just while we're on a roll, real quick one. Johnny's best story about a clothing gone wrong was when he was about 50 kilos heavier than he is now. He's driving home for the Bay Crits. And he's on the road on the freeway, and all of a sudden something whacked him in the eye, and he almost had an accident. His button had popped off his chest, hit his rear vision mirror, and smacked him in the face. One of the classic.
I've never heard that one.
Iffy clothes stories. You've been in the buffet all over and burst the shirt on the drive home. Fantastic. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Riding up the wall.
There's a couple of different things this year at the Grand Fondo as well. Like we're having a pasta night on the Saturday night, so that's there. You can buy tickets to that instead of worrying about obviously going out to dinner. You can just go and have dinner at the Mantra and have a pasta night, which is something really exciting as well.
Dan can win that, no doubt. He can win that.
That's not a prize. You can just go.
Okay. Well, we'll carbo load then.
Sorry, Dan.
And
Sorry.
Have you still got that electric bike that you took to the Tour de France? Maybe I should jump on one of those. That might be the go.
No, I had to send that back from Paris to Belgium. It got there eventually. Yeah.
Okay.
Godzilla.
All right. Well, yeah, it's fantastic to have the AGF on board with the detour and vice versa. So we'll keep sharing that fantastic video about the 4 Cs from the latest campaign with the magnificent docile towns from the Voice of Cycling, Phil Liggett. And yeah, exciting because particularly with the Tour of Spain coming up, we'll be giving away some prizes and making it interactive for everyone, building up for Amy's ride. What's the date again? For
23rd and 24th of October.
23rd. Yeah, and if you want to find out more information, go to aimgillett.org.au and you'll find the links, and then you can get involved. So it's fantastic.
Yep. Keep your eye out for Phil's little 4C ad on Facebook as well. So like it when you see it. It's out in the world of social media.
And during the Vuelta, we'll be giving away some tickets to Amy's Great Ocean Road Gran Fondo. So we'll work on that during the Vuelta.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Katie. We're really excited to have you guys on board and looking forward to chatting again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck, Katie.
I love talking to you guys. It's awesome.
No worries. I'll get Johnny to work on his questions next time.
Yeah.
The courteous. One of the C's is applicable to Johnny's interviewing style, so we'll brush up it. No worries. See you, Katie.
Thank you. See you, bye.
Right.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, Phil, you got any predictions looking into your crystal ball for the Tour of Spain, mate? Who'd be your tip?
We always expect Movistar because this is a big event for them. Obviously, they're the telephone company of Spain, and they've put out a great team. The oldest man by a mile on this occasion is Valverde. He's 41, but the others don't seem to be coming to play up against the old man. So I'd love to see him have a fabulous Giro because he's riding so incredibly well in the Grand Tours this year. But he's a notch below the youngsters now. But we'll see. You never know how it swings. Obviously, Bernal's back. Enrique Mas, I think, will be the man to watch out for on Movistar in the longer term. And what about Vlasov? He had a good race previously. I'd like to see Hugh Carthy do well. He's had a win.
I think he will. I think
you're right. Yeah, and he sticks to his guns. Roglic, probably the man to beat. But as a team, Ineos Grenadiers, in theory, should provide us with the winner. But in practice, 3 weeks is a long time. I'm looking forward to a great race. Now, in between, while it's all happening, I'm off to do a world-class triathlon in Slovakia, if they let me out the country. But hopefully, I've got my tickets, and I have a double vaccination. So it's just a slim chance I'll make Slovakia. But that's a big event, $1.5 million in prize money. It's called the Collins Cup. And I'm heading up a 7-man commentary team for the 7-hour event. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. It's a big breakaway. I haven't done triathlon for a few years. But
yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I can't swim and I can't run, so I'm well equipped to call it.
You'll find a way, Phil. That's called experience. Now, T. Kingo says, how much will Ineos lean on Pitters to work for the rest of the team? I had hoped he would be left as a free spirit to do his own thing, but given the team, not sure if that will be possible. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think, look, like our mate just then, it would be wonderful to see him have his do his own thing, but I think he'll end up in a very strong support role because they're too top heavy. They've got 5 bike riders who are capable of winning this bike race. I think Pidcock is actually capable of winning the damn thing. He's that good.
Yeah.
Bit young, but with Sivakov, Adam Yates, Carapaz, and Bernal, I think Bernal will be the man, and I think you'll probably end up running second to Roglic. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, Roglic has got a great team around him. Look, it'll be a good race, guaranteed. And we've got a race for the spring. I'm rather sorry that Caleb never got himself back after his crash and broke his collarbone in the Tour on stage 3. It's quite a long time, so it must have been a worse break than we thought. Well, it was a bit of a bad break. We know that, but he's not fit enough to ride. And that's really sad because
so it is sad. It was racing. I saw he went second. He ran second a couple of weeks ago in a race which got pipped by someone. But I thought, he's on his way, and we'll just see the rest of it. And it just never happened. So I must have. I haven't actually heard what the actual issue is, but I think he might have had some challenges with his recovery.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got to let you go, Phil. You got a few things on today, mate, so we won't hold you up too much.
Actually, my next job is in about 10 minutes. I'm very frightened about it because I'm being interviewed by a triathlon magazine to talk about a race I know nothing about. But I will do it in 10 minutes' time. I'll know everything about it. But still, I just love triathlons. I've done them, of course, around the world. I've done the Olympic Games triathlons. I've done all the Ironman events, but not in recent years. So it's a new.
Mate, just go to your kit bag and just keep the focus on all the great stories over the years and the colour of Slovenia and.
It's only when talking to you guys I remember
style.
all these great stories. You keep jogging on them.
Yeah, perfect. Well, as always, been great to have you on the show, Phil.
I hope you'll allow me to pop in and out as the.
Oh, definitely, because we're going to be announcing on Saturday silent auction details, Iffy, for that amazing prize from the Miller Resorts, and that's obviously to raise money again for the Kareka Foundation.
Well, over the last couple of days, last week, we've really gone ahead. We've gone up from $13,000 to $18,000 plus.
Well, that's fantastic.
Our target of 35. We're pretty happy with it. Yeah,
that's great.
We've got big plans to use the videos and all sorts of things, but that's
awesome. All right, well, we'll be announcing details for that on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for joining us again, Phil. We'll speak to you soon,
all
mate.
The best, guys. Lovely to see you both. Both go out training as soon as you hang up, ready for the Amy Gillett ride. Don't forget.
Exactly.
Training starts now. Let's do it. All right, mate. Take it easy.
Take care. Bye.
See you, Phil. Okay, Iffy, it's that time of the show. We've got an interview that we pre-recorded coming up with Scott McGrory. Before we get to that, let's have a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our great mates at Bike Exchange. Andy Matthews got a comment for you. Iffy, some background on Jay Vine. He joined Elberson Phoenix this year after winning the Zwift Academy, finished second on GC and Tour of Turkey, and was fifth in a stage at Burgos last week. We had Jay on the podcast.
Like I said, Jay's a young man. I just I went through all of the start list earlier today and missed him. So there you go. This is his first Grand Tour, and it's a wonderful story. I mean, to get into a pro team by jumping in a Swift competition, it's just amazing. And he met the guys at the start line. The night before, actually.
Could have almost won it. He wasn't far off that.
No, fantastic.
Crash on the corner.
His first Grand Tour, so I look forward to watching him with Alpecin. So
Tom Maloney, was that triathlon in Slovenia or Slovakia, Dan? Jeez, I don't know. I just took a stab. I got the Slove part right, but I said Slovenia. I think it's Slovakia. I think you're right. Yeah. So. Sorry about that. Now, we did have an interview, as we said, with Scotty McGrory, where we talked about, obviously, the wash-up from the Olympics, checked in to see how he's going, and talked about where Australian track cycling is at. Done it over 3 parts. This is part 1 from the interview earlier today. How are you travelling after the commentary gig is finished? Is there a bit of like a come-down period?
You can, mate. I can't let go. I'm still still uniformed up. You know what? It's a serious downer. And I know for me with the commentary stuff, and I actually posted this on social media that I personally, and I think most of the expert commentators and Amir's same sort of thing. invest so heavily into each of the performances and really ride the wave, the highs and the lows of the athletes. And I guess for Anna and I in particular, because we are friends of the athletes themselves, the Australians and some of the other internationals as well. So we really ride those highs and lows with them. That's mentally draining. And yet you're trying to be professional and commentate to a certain level so that it's not biased is one thing and right across the board. But now the games are over. It was Tuesday night, I had my first proper sleep where I actually was able for the first time in weeks to completely switch my brain off. And I had an incredible sleep and yet woke up completely drained still. It was like, no, that's not enough. I need about 4 or 5 of these sleeps to actually get myself going again. So, yeah, it's a bit of a downer. And you guys know what it's like when you work on the Tour de France. If the Tour de France went for 3 months, you could still probably do it. Right, now 3 months is a bit of an exaggeration, but if it went for longer than 3 weeks, or if the Olympics went for longer than 2 weeks, you could keep getting up and going because you know there is an end whenever it may be. But once you actually reach that end and switch off mentally, you fall over. You really do collapse. And these last couple of days, it's been a little bit like that, yeah. So I've put the Channel 7 gear back on again, and we're getting fired up.
Have you been surprised, or is it pretty expected, the fallout from the games from an Australian perspective? Because there's been a lot of commentary around, we need a full review. What's going on? What's your take on it all?
I haven't been surprised. I mean, if we don't step up, we were expected to get, a couple of gold medals, and we got one on the BMX freestyle, I guess we can claim that. But
we'll claim it.
We'll claim it. But the track program especially was expected to get a couple of gold medals. I don't think the road produced anything different to what we got. We got a fantastic bronze medal with Rowan and a very close 4th place with Gracie Brown. So that was good. So they'd get a pass. But track, bronze medal, and we'll never know how the team's pursuit would have gone because you've got to give the benefit of all the doubt there. That crash, the broken head stem, we don't know what they would have done. They were never the same after that. And to get a bronze medal was actually pretty good from that point of view. But of course, and because Simon Jones is at the end of his tenure, end of his contract, he's not renewing it. And I'm not sure whether that's coming from inside or outside. I hear rumours that are coming from inside. But so, of course, there's going to have to be a review because we're going to have to look at first who's going to get the gig. I mean, that's not an easy one. It'll be advertised worldwide, and it's it'll be very interesting to see who nominates for it.
Mm-hmm. Is it a big issue, Scooter, when you fall off? You're behind, but you're now so far behind because all these other nations have, as you've seen, they've stepped up to the plate. I mean, how much harder does that make the job for the next person to step into that role?
Well, we've only got a 3-year turnaround to Paris as well, so we don't have a normal 4-year cycle. Commonwealth Games next year, so things are going to happen really quickly. So they're going to have to make some pretty big decisions, and you can't. I actually can't see how, unless you want to sacrifice this next sort of Commonwealth Games and an Olympic cycle, you can't just say, all right, let's just sweep the floor clean and just replace everybody. I don't think they can do that, and I don't think they really need to. There's a couple of things with the results as well and I'm not here trying to stick up for anyone in particular, okay? But, we saw what happened with the team pursuit, with the crash. They eventually got a bronze medal. Had the New Zealanders not crashed in that bronze medal ride, then they were sort of on their way to claiming that bronze. So we had some off their bad luck, had some good fortune. So that's how we end up getting that bronze medal. The women's team pursuit team, they were 5th, which was not as what we would expected. Steph Morton retired from the sprint last year when the games were postponed, and she was really our only women's sprint chance and a genuine chance as well. So when she pulled the pin, that sort of left it just down to Carly. We didn't expect her to be up in the medals. So you had a couple of those things. The men's team sprinters, they had a couple of them had some back injuries leading into it, which didn't help. So you put all these little things together, and of course you can ask the questions: why did these things happen? Which will those questions will be asked. But when you put it all together, the bike breaking, the changeover from BT to Argon, all these sort of things have come together, and most people are pointing the finger purely at Simon Jones as the guy that runs the program. I think you may be responsible for a lot of it, but not absolutely all of it. And even with the team pursuit groups, both of them, they didn't travel. They didn't have the benefit of going to Europe and doing a whole bunch of road races and preparation. Philippe Ogana, who was incredibly strong, came out of the three of the guys came out of the Giro d'Italia this year, and then went on to train for the track for the Italians in the team pursuit. Our guys didn't get to do that because they didn't want to or refused to, or it was too complicated to travel because of the pandemic. So, there is a lot to it. But, yeah, there definitely will be some big decisions that need to be made. And I'm as interested as John to find out, who is going to start steering this ship, because it's going to happen. It's going to have to happen very bloody quickly if we're going to turn it around quickly for Paris. One thing that and I said this to Graham Brown, actually, in a couple messages back forth the other day, one of the problems we have here is that we were so good in Athens, and we won 6 gold medals in Athens. And since then, we've only won 1 gold. But when you go before Athens, 4 years earlier, Brett and I won gold in the Madison. It was 16 years before that we won gold medal on the track, which was Los Angeles 84. Throwing Kathy Watt in 1992 in Barcelona. We have not had a history of winning gold medals in track cycling or in cycling in general. Not a strong history outside of that one in Athens. And I think that put the bar so high that we've been trying to live up to that ever since. And we just haven't been able to get anywhere near it, and therefore everyone gets disappointed. Look at the Boomers basketball. They celebrated the bronze medal. It was an incredible performance. Everyone was happy. Andrew Gaze cried. Our team pursuit guys got a bronze, and we're all devastated that the team went so shit.
Well, it's funny if they do the review and they go, we've come to the findings that expectations are too high. We're just not that good. And we'll move on.
They're not going to do that, because that would mean the funding would be cut drastically.
That's right.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be interesting, because at the moment it seems Simon Jones is the whipping boy. It's not all Simon Jones. Some people didn't like the way he operated, whatever. He still, he had a grand plan, and he had a focus, and strong-willed and all of that. You can't blame Simon Jones for everything that went wrong. It's as I say, the fish rots from the head. So it's all the way up to the top that we have to look at how the structure we had and how we do things.
Well,
yeah.
They always talk about culture. What sort of culture breeds success, and even the minute details around this bit of a media embargo and routines around that sort of stuff. There's going to need to be changes, because if you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, it was a real eye-opener for Anna in commentary, because obviously we were desperate to get information from the team, from the athletes, from the coaches. Now, she had an incredible insight because her partner is Nick Fleischer, who's the sprint coach, national coach. So, she was able to communicate with him. But we weren't hearing from the athletes. And when we got to the track, first day, second day, they weren't doing interviews. And we had, obviously, the broken handlebars, and they didn't want to talk about that. And Anna... she, for the first time, really got to see from the other side how, and whether this was in athletics or boxing or whatever it might have been, the Aussies that didn't do well were still given an opportunity to speak to the media and to the broader audience. And they came across so well. They were able to talk about the hardship and the mental challenges that they were now going to go through and everything they put into it. And you were with them, you felt for them, whereas our cycling team typically just shut down and we just move on to another sport. And then we forget about these stories from behind the faces, behind the helmets of these riders. And that's something that was really disappointing. And I know Anna was also disappointed in that. And it's the first time that she's really got to observe how, I guess, our cycling team doesn't quite do it the same way as some of the other sports, and then the media attention and, I guess, the connection to the audience that our other athletes get. And that's something that we miss. And I reckon it's great that Anna actually did get to experience it this time. They got better towards the end, but you guys wouldn't have seen it at home. We were seeing the interviews happening with the riders, but they didn't go to air because they weren't winning, and we'd already moved on. And so we just didn't get to see those athletes talking on air, which is a real shame because there's some great stories behind it all.
That was part one of our interview with Scotty McGrory. I was just thinking as he was talking then, would it be beneficial, John, do you think, you see patterns or clues left behind with other codes, right? And what some of the top end coaches, like take Alistair Clarkson, for example, that run that they had where they won all the premierships, he would actually go over to America and he would meet with like Steve Kerr, Belichick from the NFL, Popovich from the Spurs, and he would just pick the brains of other successful organizations to see what they do differently. Would it be beneficial for cycling, particularly in Australia, to start thinking outside the box and to start drawing on other ways to build culture, to build an organization, and, you know, just sort of pick apart some of the things that work in other codes?
Exactly. We've got some great teams here. They should go and have a talk to the guys at Storm, which has got a winning culture and a wonderful cohesive culture. But you're dead right. Clarkson was famous for doing that, and quite a few other Australian footy coaches have done similar type things. I know Buckley did that, and Clarkson and Buckley are both gone. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. Here's part 2 of our chat with Scotty McGrory. Does that make it even harder if the fact that part of our DNA is it's gold or nothing? You know, it's about medals. It's about success. Like, is that an unrealistic pressure on the program?
Probably.
But you're ultra positive though. We can get those bag of golds again.
Well, if you look at the Olympics as a whole, I mean, Australia is still celebrating. It was one of our most successful games of all time. So, and that's because of gold. But Australia, it's funny you're saying before, Scotty, when you really look hard at our record over the years, other than Athens, we haven't won a lot of gold, but we did get a lot of medals. You know, we three in Munich, 3 silver medals, and other years, you know, the team pursuit have got silver a couple of times. So we've been in the mix. This time, other than the team's pursuit, we'll never know. Everything else, we weren't in the mix. Matthew Gleisner, you know, I was really disappointed in that final. We haven't spoken about that, actually, because our last show was the eve of him racing in that Kieran. And I just, you know, I was really disappointed. I thought he could have gone close to a medal there, and it was a major tactical mistake. To just let Kenny ride away. He didn't intend to let him ride away, but to look back right at the time when the bike's coming off, understand you've got to watch where they're going, what's happening behind you, but you also have to watch what's happening in front of you. And by the time he looked back, Kenny was gone. And then he didn't react straight away. He needed to react straight away to that. Go bang. And he thought, no, he hesitated. I think he probably hoped that someone else would close the gap for him. But they didn't do it quick enough.
John, you're being polite. It was a complete brain fade, you know. So, and it didn't happen. The bike didn't come off, and then Kenny just attacked. He started to pick up the pace. So, you know, in case someone was doing a flyer, but then Matt's given some distance to protect himself, and then more distance, and then half a lap later, that's when Kenny's thought, "Hang on a minute, you're giving me way too much distance," and that's when he went. So this was, you know, only half a lap, but that's what it is in Kieran racing. So he just gave way too much distance. Kenny took the opportunity and rode for 2.5 laps flat chat and comfortably won. And the guy went into the competition under his best. Okay, he rode a 9.5 in the flying 200, but that was still 0.3 of a second off the top 2 guys. So he wasn't anywhere near, well, I shouldn't say anywhere near. He wasn't at his very, very best form. That would have been Rio and maybe even back into London, yet he was still able to find a way to win. And, you know, that was very much helped by Matt Gladser. Matt, we know his story. You know, he's a great guy. He came back from a health scare with cancer. All of that's fantastic. However, he did say afterwards that he put everything out on the track and he gave it his 100%, and he was happy with the result. And I'm thinking, look, in any kind of post-event review, you're going to have to say, well, was it a good result? You know, what did he do wrong? There were mistakes made. And we know his story and the health is very incredible. But when you're on the track and you're racing, you've got to do your best performance. And I think he just had a brain fade. And that you can't really call it much more than that. So, look, as Zulawang was, you know, he was devastated because he saw, you know, the gap open up. And by the time it did, it was too late to try and chase it. You know, you've got someone else in front of you. You've got to go around the outside. And then he ended up with the silver medal. But I know those guys were very disappointed with how it went out.
There's a bit of social media from coming from that area of the world around Malaysia that really.
Look, it was the same in the Madisons too, wasn't it, John? So we went into both the Madisons, I thought, with Aussie teams that should have been, I felt really truly could have been competitive. The women's Madison team were sort of just lost in the middle of the group, and then in the men's Madison, Cameron Meyer didn't ride. Okay, so he was to be our key member of the Madison team with Kel O'Brien, and then with his father and his health issues, he decided not to go. So then that left Lee Howard, who's very experienced former champion himself in the Madison, but had nothing. He just didn't have the legs. And while it was 59.67 kilometres per hour for 50K, which is just mind-boggling, you had Felix English and the guys from Ireland, they still got around, and yet Lee wasn't able to. So from my perspective, watching it, commentating it, that was really hard to swallow as well. We just didn't have a team that was competitive in a race that we've been so good at in the past. That was left me a little bit disappointed with all of that. And I'm sure those guys are. No one's going to be more devastated than Lee and Cam. So I don't want to be critical just for the sake of it. But hey, let's be realistic. They pulled out of the race, and these guys were going in thinking they could get a medal. So that was below what they were expecting.
Well, you raised a good point earlier about a lot of the guys that were winning medals had that road background. They were with pro teams. They might have to switch up that approach and start looking to select guys that have a balance between being a pro rider and coming across to the track rather than just going, you're on the track. Platt could be a good one in the future, given that he's with Ineos.
Absolutely. And the fact that the next cycle is only 3 years. So 3 years to the next games, Luke going into Ineos, they're not going to expect him to be, smashing it on the road too much. And they had Ethan Hayter from Ineos, who rode in the GB team, the Madison and the Team Pursuit as well. So, they are used to having riders doing both road and track. And hopefully for these next 3 years, Luke can continue to do both. I know he wants to. I know he's really keen to do the Madison as well at the next Olympics. So if Kel O'Brien and Luke can focus on that, that'd be fantastic. And then come in and out of the Team Pursuit program. Now, when we go back and talk about Athens, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but after the Sydney 2000 Games, our funding went down quite a bit. We had, good, reasonable performances, but there just wasn't the same sort of money for the track program after the Sydney Games. And they were then forced to allow Graham Brown, Luke Roberts, Brett Lancaster, these guys, Brad McGee was already doing it, go off to pro teams. But they had a really good track training background before that, and they kept coming back and forth from the road to do training camps on the track. They won multiple world championships leading up to Athens, coming back and forth, road and track, all the way through, went to Athens, perfect storm. Because of the lack of funding, they had to put them out onto the road, but they still had some control of them to do these track camps. And that was perfect when it came to 2004, which is kind of like what the Italians have done this time. They then tried to use the same guys for Beijing 4 years later, but they just let them go on the road for 3 years and then tried to bring them back right at the very last minute, and that didn't work. So they've got the experiment. It's been done, and it was done again this year by Italy. We did it ourselves in 2004. Things have moved on slightly because of the gears and everything else, the strength required, but they just need to look at history and work out how to do it for the next 3 years.
Get your head stem sorted, and that's it. Box tick.
Can you imagine? Can you actually just imagine? I think Alex said that he had no idea what was happening until he was about to hit the track. It just all happened so fast. And then, to have the bars just taken out from under him, face first at 65 Ks an hour, and then to get back up again, and he had nothing. He really had nothing in the tank when he came back to do the second ride on that first day. But yeah, courage, got to give it to him. He's a real warrior.
That was part 2 of our interview with Scotty McGrory. I'm almost going to request that Scotty wears the Channel 7 kit every time he's on the show. It really lifts the quality. That could be like you wearing that leather jacket that was your trademark for a while there, Johnny.
Oh, put the Olympics jacket and the tie on every day. Yeah,
you should. You look like. Did you ever watch the Late Show, the Graham and the Colonel?
Yes.
Very much like Graham and the Colonel. Bring it back. All right, here's part 3 of our Grab with Scotty, where I think we talk about rider transfers. Hey, before we let you go, there's obviously been some big transfer news in the men's and women, but the big one.
Yeah, Grace Brown going to FDJ. Can we put that to John? To you, we're all insiders when it comes to the Green Edge guys and Jerry Ryan, but that you more so than us. That's a big effort. That's huge to see someone that's a winner go from the team, and she is really such a winner, and she's growing and getting better. Are you surprised by this move?
I am, yeah. Disappointed because I think she's a sensational athlete, and I would have liked to. I'm going to look forward to watching her anyway, but would love to have been staying with Green Edge. But she decided they offered her a really good deal to stay on, evidently, but FDJ offered her even more and a special role. So maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to her about it. I've had a few texts back and forth congratulating her on the Olympics and stuff, but I haven't got into that. I heard a whisper. I thought she was going to Corfitas, actually. I knew it was a French team, but anyway, it turns out FDJ. But, yeah, disappointing. And Sarah Giganti, I hear she's going to a World Tour team, but it's not Green Edge either. So that's also disappointing because that was a deal that I thought was almost done. So I hear that there are 5 young Aussies who have never raced in Europe who have all signed with World Tour teams for next year.
Yeah, right.
It's just a little whisper I've heard. 5 young Aussie girls.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's great. That's great. Well, and look, that's, I guess, the growth now of women's cycling, the World Tour, and the teams needing to put on women's teams, that's really good. Taj Jones is another one with Israel Startup Nation that's looks like he's stepping up as well into the World Tour. Sagan, Peter Sagan, that's it's the cycling world's worst kept secret. Him going to to Total Energies, but with his posse, with Daniel Oss and Bodnar and his brother Yuri. Yeah. I think because Wout van Aert is the new Sagan. So what Peter used to be able to do is what Van Aert is doing now, getting over hills and still sprinting. I don't know. I don't think Peter. I think we've seen the best of him. I think that he'll go to Total Energies and just maybe pop off a couple of races here and there, but we're not going to see the old Peter Sagan anymore.
I partly agree with you in that we have seen the best of him. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think he's just going to go riding off into the sunset. I think you'll still see some absolutely brilliant performances from Peter Sagan. He's still capable of winning green jersey in Tour de France. He still is. So we'll see what rocks up this year. Interesting, though, with Total Energies. I mean, they're not even World Tour. So I don't know whether they plan to do they step up next year to World Tour? I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that either. And I guess they don't need to. They just, they're going to get starts in the Tour anyway and that focus on those events. And with Peter there, then they'll get Tour of Flanders and, of course, they'll get Roubaix anyway because of ASO. So, yeah, they'll still get the races that they want to get. And George, your mate. George
Bennett. I was going to say, if you gave a score out of 10, UAE would have to be right at the pointy end for the amount of signings that they've got. Ackerman,
amazing.
Almeida, Marc Soler, Hershey. Yeah. They have just gone all out.
That young Finn
Fisher Black.
Hodgek. Yeah, no, look, they were pretty impressive this year. We didn't think the team was quite up to the standards of, say, Ineos or Jumbo, and we thought, we'll see how they go on the Tour. But they did step up. They were absolutely rode way above them, what we thought in the Tour. It was brilliant. So, but with this strengthening, I mean, they are now right in that same ballpark. They're right up there with Jumbo and Ineos as far as a quality of a team to support the POG.
They are building a sustainable GC future with that group of guys only. Marc Soler as well. So Almeida, Marc Soler, and George Bennett. Yeah. That's the climbing trio that they need. And they can see that they've got possibly 10 years. With the POG. Moving forward. So, that'll be interesting to see how they go. Hey, the other one from Bike Exchange we didn't mention was Esteban Chavez. You may have touched on it in previous podcasts, but, with him going to EF Nippo, That's another one, isn't it? Like, I don't know, is it how much of a message is that someone like Esteban has moved on because he absolutely loves that team so much, and to move on from it, it's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
It is a surprise, but I suppose he is getting towards the end of his career, and maybe they're looking at a different direction. I don't know, but that was his decision. He went that way. So,
Jai Henley to Bora, and Sam Bennett going back there again. So,
and the flying mullet, he's back
and taking his mate with him as well. So, that's interesting because Shane Archbold's had some time now spent with Mark Cavendish, and as soon as Sam was going back to Bora, then the mullet was jumping straight on and going back there with him. So that friendship group, that'll be interesting to see what happens next year, because we saw. I don't know if you guys saw the Tour of Denmark the other day, but Groenewegen, he towed up Cavendish. And I know it's after the Tour de France, and I don't know what Cav's been doing, etc. But it was really interesting to see just how much faster Groenewegen was than Cav. But then Groenewegen doesn't get to ride the Tour de France because he rides for a team that focuses on the overall classification. So looking forward to seeing what races Cav does next year and whether he does ride the Tour again.
Yeah, and then Patterson cleaned them all up the next day. So good sprint. See, Michael Storer is going to FDJ.
So what's happened there? What's happening there? We had Chris Hamilton's the only one staying at DSM of that trio. So, and they all seem to be jumping ship. And we saw it at the Tour de France. I don't know if you guys have heard anything more, but they were a shadow of their former self from last year as a team.
There were lots of rumours of unhappiness in the camp, right through the Tour de France. So it wasn't, from a team that seemed to be, have a wonderful culture. It seemed to have fallen apart.
Get Luke Roberts on. Get Luke Roberts on. Have him to chat about it.
If your company specialised in cycling reviews, like to go in and just do a proper review, you would make a mozza. There's so many teams that would be going, all right, they'd do a review, fellas. Let's bring them in. If you had like a simple copy and paste Word doc, that'd be perfect.
Well, we've got what's the audit company in Australia? They did Ansett and the
Cordomenta.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everyone shudders when they hear that Cordomenta's coming in the front door. Oh my God, we're going to get the ass.
All right, mate. Well, it's been great having you on. Enjoy your mountain bike tonight. That's why we couldn't go live. Priorities. Yeah,
apologies to everybody for pre-recording this, but my mate where I'm staying with in Bendigo, because I still don't know what's going on with I can't cross over into New South Wales to go back up to Pottsville just yet, because I don't know if I'll be able to get back across the border again to see my kids. So staying at a mate's place, and he just happens to have 3 e-bikes. So when he said, let's go for a mountain bike ride at night with lights, I realised that it's with a motor, so it's not going to be that hard. So I'm happy to do it and hang out with a mate. So he's looked after me. So, that's why we're doing this. We'll see how we go. And looking forward to the Paralympics. So good luck to all the Paralympians that are in their final preparation for Tokyo. Incredibly inspirational as it is every time. You kind of drift off from focusing on Olympic sports, and then the Paras come out and just do amazing things. And that, kind of almost forgotten about the Vuelta. So, and the Vuelta is one of the most interesting races every year. So no doubt I'll switch back on again as soon as the Vuelta starts.
Good on you,
mate. We'll be talking to you, mate. We'll be talking to you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Scotty McGrory, some fantastic insights there. He's in some great form, obviously, after the Olympics. Now, the Wheel Wizard, he's chimed in. I thought he would, because we're talking about the state of Australian track cycling. He said, sorry, guys, just got notified that you're on. Don't know what I've missed, but did John and Scott see the Facebook post by Dean Woods on assessment of the Australian Olympic team? The post has been removed. Did you see that, Johnny?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Did you get the one wood out? Did he do a Jonesy and get the one wood out? Or?
Yes, he got the one wood out. He certainly did. It was, ferocious.
Was it a shank into the woods, or how hard did he hit it?
Yeah, no, he was quite critical of the program. But look, I really do think it goes deeper than that. I think there's a lot of work needs to be done. So it'd be really interesting to see this is about to be advertised as to who applies.
Tom Maloney, big fan of Scooter's coverage. He said Scott's coverage was so comprehensive of Australia's performance. No doubt there were great difficulties, but there seemed to be a lack of foresight as to what was to be confronted on both track and road environments by Europeans as well. Sparksy, he says, hey, Jason Kenny flogged them all. You can't blame anyone. It's a good point. Annette Miller, she says, as a bike exchange fan, I'm starting to struggle to find who can win races or stages at World Tour level. Yates, Matthews, possibly Schultz. Now, I mean, how important, if he is, this Tour of Spain for bike exchange?
It's very important. I think Michael Matthews can win the points jersey. As I said before, it'll be a great race between him and Demar, but I really do think he can win it. I don't know if they can win the GC. It'd be interesting to see how Lucas Hamilton goes. You know, he was very disappointed with crashing out of the Tour de France. So, and Damien Howson, I thought Damien Howson should have been in the Tour de France team. So, those two.
In fact, that was a really surprising omission because his form was red hot going into Tour of Hungary, and you would have thought that. Particularly, you know, he's ridden the Tour before. He's a dependable workhorse, particularly in the mountain stages. And if they did fall off GC and he had opportunities in that last week, I mean, he could have pinched the stage.
Yeah, he was hungry, as you said. But look. So there you go. I think it'll be. I think they've got a really good chance for stages. Young Robert Stannard, he's got good form. Same with Schultz, young Nick Schultz, a great ride just a couple of days ago. So, yeah, I think it's really Bling will be the man to I think, maybe win some stages and get the points jersey.
All right. Well, it's always the shows where I think, it's short and sharp tonight, probably be 40 minutes. It's another big one, but it's been enjoyable. We thank Phil Liggett, Katie Brown, and obviously Scotty McGrory for his insights. And as always, follow us on youtube.com/Detour Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, tell your mates, get behind it. And also starting on Saturday, are we going Saturday or Sunday, Iffy?
Saturday, do the preview for the full preview, yep.
Join us live every night at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for comprehensive coverage this year's Tour of Spain. Anything you want to add before we go, Johnny?
No. See you all on Saturday.
See you then. Take it easy. Bye.